Right, first question we're going to look at is simplify root 12 plus 3 root 3. Now, what we need to do is prime factorize 12. And we see 2 goes into 12 6, and it also and 2 goes into 6 3 times. We've already got this section prime factorized, so we don't need to do that. So root 12 is equal to the square root of 2 times 2 times 3. We've got that from here, 2 times 2 times 3. So the whole thing is going to equal, so root 12 will equal, remember everywhere we've got a pair, we have a square, so we can take that out. 2 times 2 times the square root of 3, that will go there. That's just the square root of 4, which is just 2. So that's just 2 root 3. Now we're going to add this to 3 root 3. So you've got 2 lots added to 3 lots, so this therefore will equal just 5 lots of the square root of 3. Now in this question, notice we've got the same numerator as we had as the expression in the last question. So therefore this is just going to be the same as 5 over the square root of 3, so 5 times the square root of 3 over 2 times the square root of 3. And because we have a common factor of root 3 on top and bottom, we can just cancel those common factors. So this is just equal to 5 over 2. And this next question, we again got the root 12 plus 3 root 3, so we can simplify that, use our simplified answer to do this question. So root 12 plus 3 root 3 is equal to 5 root 3. And we want to times it by 2 minus root 3. So we have the 5 root 3 times by the 2. So that'll just give me 10 times the square root of 3. 2 times 5 is 10. So we get 10 times the square root of 3. That's that multiplication done there. And we've also got 5 times the square root of 3 times minus root 3. Well, a plus times a minus gives me a minus. Square root of 3 times the square root of 3 is just equal to 3. Times that by 5 gives me 15. So my final answer is 10 root 3 minus 15. Just highlight that that's the root 3 times the minus root 3. 5 root 3 times minus root 3. Okay, next question we're going to go on to is this. Now what I'm going to do is use a thing called FOIL to help me multiply this out in the right order. And FOIL stands for first, outer, inner, last. First is the first two things in the brackets, root 3 times 2, 2 root 3. The outer two things are root 3 times minus root 3. Root 3 times root 3 is 3, plus times a minus gives me a minus 3. Inner two things, 2 times 2 is 4. Last two things, 2 times minus root 3 gives me minus 2 lots of root 3. And what we see is that 2 root 3 and minus 2 root 3 cancel, because 2 lots minus 2 lots is 0. Minus 3 plus 4 is just 1. So our answer is 1. To rationalize the denominator, what we do is we use actually this idea in the last one where actually we got rid of the square roots by timesing by the opposite sign. If you change the sign in the middle and times by the opposite sign, you're going to end up with all these numbers being square numbers. This is called the difference of two squares. Let me just show you where that idea comes from. A plus b times a minus b. Change the sign. You get a times a is your first two things. Your outer two things, you get a times minus b. Your inner two things, ba or ab, doesn't matter which order you write them in, plus b times minus b, that gives you minus b squared. And you see that these two just cancel to leave you just square numbers. And if you've just got square numbers, there'll be no square roots. So we want to rationalize the denominator. That means we want the denominator down here to be rational. And that means there must be no square roots in the denominator, because all square roots of numbers which are not square numbers are irrational. So we times top and bottom of this by root 3 minus 2, change the middle sign. And then we can make use of this idea of that's called the difference of two squares. So that is equal to 2 times root 3 is 2 root 3. 2 times minus 2 gives me minus 4. All over, and we're going to use FOIL again. First two things times together, root 3 times root 3 is 3. Outer two things is minus 2 root 3. Inner two things, 2 times root 3. Last two things, 2 times minus 2 is minus 4, and we see that these cancel. And that leaves me 2 root 3 minus 4 on the top, and on the bottom I got 3 minus 4, which is minus 1. If I divide by minus 1, the sign of that's going to change, and the sign of that's going to change. So that will become minus 2 root 3, and that will become 4. Minus 4 divided by minus 1 is 4. 2 root 3 divided by minus 1 is minus 2 root 3, and it's better written in this order. Just makes it look nice and neat. Now here's a tricky question. Give an irrational number between 4 and 5. Without a calculator, this is not easy. Even with a calculator, it's not easy to pick an irrational number. Remember, we're looking for square roots of numbers which are not square numbers. So the easiest thing to do is to square these two numbers. 4 squared equals 16. 5 squared equals 25. Now therefore, the square root of any number between these two numbers will be irrational. So if we square root 17, we know that's going to be between 4 and 5. It's not a square number because all the square numbers, there's no square numbers between 16 and 25. Therefore, it must be irrational. So will the square root of 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. And in fact, there's an infinite number of answers between 4 and 5 that are irrational, because we could do the square root of 17.5. That would also be irrational, the square root of 17.1, and so on. So there's loads of possibilities, but here are the easiest 8 to spot.